Chapter 13. Arrival. After Kavanaugh and William were buried, the impact on the youth of Estolia was profoundly different from the aftermath of Apollyon. Not one Estolian chose to leave the island as a result. In fact, one could argue that the youth grew closer to one another and to the older generations as a result. Many traditions were created during the years between the two iniquitous heirs apparent, and the ability to rely upon those traditions gave a sense of security and permanence to the rising generation, at the time when they needed it the most. Christopher Chimerian Zakarian, Capitulo 57. Leo pulled a large garment bag out of one of the closets in his cabin and went to Jackie's room. He paused outside her door, remembering the sweet sensation of her possession of him. Yesterday she wanted them to sleep together again, but he had been forced to explain that, having given his soul into her keeping, he was constrained to wait for official sanction before he could touch her again. He tapped on her door. When he heard her calling out to him, he took a deep breath and entered her cabin. There was quite a brisk wind all night. We will arrive in less than an hour. When we docked in Tenerife, I was given a package. Visitors are rare, and the family are likely to be dressed up to receive you. My mother had the foresight to send you a dress. Will you honor my mother's effort and wear the dress she sent? Jackie took the heavy garment bag, a blush colored her cheeks, and he could imagine what she was thinking. He was thinking about it too. I will be back in 45 minutes. Jackie opened the garment bag. The dress inside was extravagant, beautiful, and medieval. The fabric was a light sage green with panels of violet purple on either side along with dark royal purple short sleeves. Once dressed, she left her cabin and went up to the deck. The sky was a lighter grey to the east, the bulk of land obscured the horizon. Leo appeared, leaning down to kiss her. She gave herself up to him, reveling in the feel of his strong body, the warmth of his contours, the heat of his desire. He pulled back when they heard a discreet cough. The captain was grinning at them. I believe we will be at the dock just as the sun rises, he said. Your father has commanded you to dress in full regalia. We have just enough time for you to change. Jackie turned her attention to the approaching island. In the dimness of pre-dawn, the world was monochrome, blurring out the finer details. Streamers of orange, red, yellow, peach, and cream started to festoon the skies. Shouts from the men rang through the air as they prepared to secure the ship to its berth. To add to the cacophony, the sails flapped and slapped while the floorboards creaked. The sea air was cool on her bare arms, the sharp tang of sea salt and the green scent of vegetation swirling around one another. A firm tread behind her had her turning to look at Leo. He wore a richly embroidered cape over a fancy shirt in purple and green. A sword was strapped to his side and white gloves seemed to give the entire outfit a sense of legitimacy. He tucked his hat under one elbow before holding his hand out to her. As the captain had predicted, the boat was secured to the dock at the very moment the sun tipped over the edge of the world. The world went from monochrome to polychromatic splendor. 3 men approached the boat, one in a wheelchair. As the sun finally tipped over the world, Leo was focused on the extraordinary, beautiful woman at his side. He ached to join with her again, to have her as a permanent part of his life. Watching the enchantment on her face as the world gained color and depth reminded him that she had chosen his soul to keep. He heard a shout and looked up, smiling with pleasure to see his father approaching. After he shouted a hello back, he extended his arm so he could escort his bride-to-be onto Estolian soil. Once they reached the dock, he turned his attention back to his father, but the sight of his brother stopped him. Theo, he said, his eyes on the sash his brother wore. Theo inclined his head only slightly, the purpose, the office of last resort clearly at the forefront of his mind. He could not, if he was the last resort, do or be anything to Leo until the situation was resolved. Leo looked from his father and brother to his uncle, who was smiling, relaxed. Something monumental and unique must have taken place while he was away. If Theo was last resort, Leo was heir apparent. Theo stepped forward, one hand gripping the dagger in the sash, the strength of purpose on his face was clear. As last resort, I Theobald Reginald Zakarian, Ask your intentions, Leo. Have you given your soul into the keeping of this woman? Leo drew himself up proudly, gently positioning Jackie in front of him, his hand resting over her abdomen, as he said with great dignity, I, Balthazar Leopold Zakarian, have taken this woman, Jacqueline Renee Cathay, and in so doing, have placed my soul securely within her keeping. Theo turned his attention to Jackie. My brother claims that he did take your purity. Did you willingly give this to him? Leo could only squeeze her tight in reassurance. She raised her chin. I did willingly give him my heart, my soul, and my body. Do you accept Balthazar Leopold Zakarian, along with his soul which already rests within your keeping? Or do you reject him? I accept everything Leo is, and everything he ever will be, she said. Xavier wheeled closer and said, Do you, Balthazar Leopold Zakarian, accept the woman as your Kaylee, or do you require your brother to exercise his role as the last resort? I accept Jackie as my Kaylee. She is a worthy daughter of Estolia. Without her, I cannot live. This morning you will both enter the temple to complete your 7 days of seclusion which you began on the promise of deity, thereafter to have your union sanctified by the Spirit, the Church, and the State. On the eve of your cousin's birthday, Xavier rolled closer to where Jackie stood and placed a hand over Leo's. He closed his eyes for a moment and then opened them. You will fulfill the promise of Zacharias, a son will be born to you, the future king of Estolia. Deity smiles upon your union.